When you think of the largest animals on Earth, a few giants likely come to mind: elephants, giraffes, or perhaps even the massive blue whale. These creatures are undeniably impressive, yet surprisingly, none of them represent the largest animals to have ever lived. So, come with me as we take a look at the biggest animals that have ever walked the Earth and what they were able to do. Arthropleura. For many people, the sight of a common millipede is enough to send a shiver down the spine. Now imagine encountering one that stretched longer than the average person. Some 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, such a creature did exist. Arthropleura, the largest land-dwelling arthropod ever discovered. Fossil remains found in Northumberland, England, suggest that Arthropleura reached lengths of up to 8.5 feet, over 2 feet longer than the average adult human. Not only was it long, but it also carried significant bulk, with estimates placing its weight at around 50 kilograms, roughly equivalent to that of a teenage human. Some scientists have speculated that Arthropleura may have been able to raise the front part of its body, much like a cobra lifting its head. However, this remains unconfirmed based on fossil evidence alone. To put its size into perspective, the largest terrestrial arthropod alive today, the coconut crab, reaches only about 40% of Arthropleura's length and less than 10% of its mass. So how did these prehistoric giants grow to such immense proportions? During the Carboniferous, oxygen levels were much higher than today, reaching over 30%, compared to today's 21%. Because arthropods rely on less efficient breathing systems than mammals, this oxygen-rich environment allowed them to grow far beyond the limits seen in modern species. Elephant bird. The ostrich, the largest living bird, is dwarfed by a flightless giant that once roamed the island of Madagascar, the elephant bird. These massive birds, members of the genus Aepyornis, thrived until only about 1,000 years ago, when they disappeared from the fossil record, likely due to human activity and habitat loss. Standing up to 10 feet tall, they towered above even the tallest ostriches. But their most striking feature was their incredible mass. The largest species, Aepyornis maximus, is estimated to have weighed more than 500 kilograms, over 4 times heavier than today's ostrich. If their size wasn't impressive enough, their eggs were nothing short of extraordinary. Measuring more than 12 inches long, weighing as much as 10 kilograms, and holding a volume roughly 150 times greater than a chicken's egg, they are the largest bird eggs ever discovered. Even modern ostrich eggs pale in comparison, being only about 1/7 the weight. Despite their colossal size, elephant birds were gentle giants, feeding primarily on fruit and plant matter. Their extinction around the 10th century marks one of the most dramatic losses of megafauna in human history, leaving behind only their enormous eggs and bones as a testament to their grandeur. Titanoboa. For many people, snakes inspire unease. The green anaconda, reaching lengths of nearly 30 feet and weighing around 250 kilograms, is already enough to make most shudder. But shortly after the extinction of the dinosaurs, a snake existed that made the anaconda look almost modest, the mighty Titanoboa. Living around 60 million years ago, during the Paleocene epoch, Titanoboa moved through the wetlands and rivers of what is now Colombia. Fossilized vertebrae, discovered in a coal mine in the Torrejon region, revealed that this serpent could grow to a staggering 42 feet in length. If it reared up even halfway, its head would loom above a 2-story building. Estimates place its weight at an extraordinary 1,135 kilograms, nearly 5 times heavier than the largest living anaconda. Unlike venomous snakes, Titanoboa was killed by constriction. It would coil its massive body around prey, tightening with such force that it crushed and suffocated even large animals. Scientists believe its prey included ancient crocodile-like reptiles and giant fish that shared its swampy habitat. The sheer size of Titanoboa was made possible by the warm, humid climate of the Paleocene. Paleoloxodon namadicus. Today, the African bush elephant holds the record as the largest living land animal. Mature bulls can reach 13 feet at the shoulder and weigh up to 12 tons. Yet even these colossal creatures are overshadowed by a prehistoric relative that may have been the largest land mammal ever to walk the earth, Paleoloxodon namadicus. This giant elephant roamed parts of Asia during the Pleistocene epoch, spanning from approximately 2.5 million to 11,000 years ago. Fossils discovered in India, including a partial femur measuring more than 6 feet long, suggest that Paleoloxodon stood as high as 17 feet at the shoulder. That would make it taller than a modern African elephant and even taller than a Tyrannosaurus rex standing upright. Its estimated weight is staggering, around 24 tons, roughly double that of the largest living elephants. The tusks were equally impressive. Fossil evidence shows they could stretch up to 12 feet in length and weigh as much as 118 kilograms each. To put that into perspective, one tusk alone weighed more than the average adult human. Despite their immense size, Paleoloxodon elephants were herbivores, feeding on grass, leaves, and shrubs. But their scale crowned them as the undisputed giants of the land. Sadly, like many Ice Age megafauna, they disappeared toward the end of the Pleistocene, likely due to climate shifts and human activity. Megalodon. Few predators in history inspire as much awe as the shark. Today, the great white shark is feared as the ocean's top hunter, yet it is a mere shadow of an ancient relative that once ruled the seas, the mighty Megalodon. This colossal shark lived from about 20 million to 3.6 million years ago, during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs. As with all sharks, its skeleton was made of cartilage, which does not fossilize well. What remains are its enormous teeth, some measuring more than 7 inches long, by far the largest of any shark species. Using these teeth as a guide, scientists estimate Megalodon reached lengths of 50 to 65 feet, with some claims extending up to 82 feet. At its largest, it would have been more than twice the length of a great white. But size alone does not convey its true power. Megalodon's jaws were fitted with around 276 teeth, arranged in multiple rows, capable of delivering one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. Estimates suggest its bite force could reach 182,000 newtons, enough to crush the bones of whales with ease. By comparison, the maximum human bite force is about 1,300 newtons. Megalodon was an apex predator, feeding on large marine mammals such as early whales and seals. Titanosaurs. Dinosaurs have long captured the imagination as some of the largest land animals that have ever existed. One of the earliest record holders was Argentinosaurus, which lived about 90 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Though its fossil remains are incomplete, paleontologists estimate this dinosaur stretched 115 to 120 feet in length and weighed around 70 to 77 tons. That is roughly the weight of a dozen African elephants combined. Yet even Argentinosaurus was not the end of the story. In 2014, in Patagonia, Argentina, scientists uncovered fossils belonging to another titanosaur, Patagotitan majorum. With a femur more than 8 feet long, larger than an average adult human, Patagotitan is estimated to have reached 120 to 123 feet in length. Though its weight, at 60 to 65 tons, was slightly less than Argentinosaurus's, its sheer length made it one of the largest land animals ever discovered. These giants were herbivores, feeding on vast quantities of vegetation, and their immense size likely offered protection from predators. Epicyon haydeni. Roughly 12 to 6 million years ago, during the late Miocene, the Earth was home to the largest canid ever known, Epicyon haydeni. Unlike the dogs we know today, Epicyon haydeni was more closely related in size to a bear than a wolf. Standing 3 to 4 feet tall at the shoulder and stretching up to 8 feet in length, these animals were formidable predators. Estimates place their average weight at around 113 kilograms, although some fossil specimens suggest that individuals could have reached an astonishing 167 kilograms, comparable to that of a small grizzly bear. But sheer size wasn't their only defining trait. Epicyon belonged to a subfamily of canines known as Borophaginae, often referred to as the bone-crushing dogs. Their jaws were powerful, with massive teeth and reinforced molars adapted to pulverize bone in much the same way modern hyenas do. Such power meant Epicyon haydeni could bring down large prey with ease and consume nearly every part of its kill. Yet despite their dominance, this lineage of bone-crushing dogs eventually vanished, replaced by smaller, more adaptable canines. Gigantopithecus blacki. Among the primates alive today, gorillas hold the title of largest and most imposing. Adult males can reach heights of 5.5 feet and weigh nearly 485 pounds. Impressive though they are, there once lived a primate so massive that even gorillas would have seemed small beside it, Gigantopithecus blacki. This colossal ape inhabited the forests of Southeast Asia between 2 million and 300,000 years ago. Unfortunately, only teeth and fragments of jawbone have survived the passage of time, but these fossils are so large that paleontologists have been able to reconstruct an extraordinary image of their scale. Estimates suggest Gigantopithecus may have stood nearly 10 feet tall when upright and weighed as much as 540 kilograms. Despite its intimidating size, Gigantopithecus was almost certainly a herbivore. Its enormous teeth and powerful jaws indicate a diet of fruits, leaves, and fibrous plant material, yet its size may have been its downfall. As the climate shifted roughly 100,000 years ago, dense forests gave way to open savannas. With their food sources dwindling and their immense bodies requiring vast amounts of sustenance, Gigantopithecus likely could not adapt quickly enough and eventually disappeared. Arctotherium, angustidens. Modern bears can already be intimidating, with polar bears today ranking as the largest living land carnivores. A full-grown male polar bear can stand 10 feet tall when upright and weigh more than 600 kilograms. Yet even these Arctic giants pale in comparison to a prehistoric bear that once roamed South America. Arctotherium angustidens. This enormous short-faced bear lived during the early Pleistocene, around 700,000 years ago. Its remains were first uncovered in Argentina, and the fossils immediately revealed just how massive this animal was. Paleontologists studying a gigantic humerus, the bone of the upper limb, estimated that Arctotherium angustidens weighed anywhere between 900 to 2,000 kilograms. When standing upright, this giant bear may have reached an incredible 14 feet in height. Its paws, each stretching about 15 inches, were nearly double the size of a human hand. As smaller, faster predators emerged and competition for resources increased, these giants struggled to keep up. Eventually, their numbers dwindled until the species disappeared. Sarcosuchus imperator. Over 100 million years ago, in the rivers of what is now North Africa, a reptile twice that size, larger even than today's saltwater crocodile, dominated its environment. Sarcosuchus imperator, often nicknamed the super croc. Sarcosuchus lived during the early Cretaceous period, around 112 million years ago. Fossils, including an enormous skull and vertebrae discovered in Niger, reveal that this crocodilian reached lengths of up to 40 feet, Its weight is estimated at nearly 8,000 kilograms, several times heavier than the largest modern crocs. Its skull alone stretched over 5.5 feet and was armed with 132 conical teeth, each up to 6 inches long. Unlike the interlocking teeth of today's crocodiles, Sarcosuchus's jaws were built for gripping and crushing. With its immense size and power, paleontologists believe it was capable of ambushing not only massive fish, but even unsuspecting dinosaurs that strayed too close to the water's edge. Despite its fearsome reputation, Sarcosuchus was not a direct ancestor of modern crocodiles, but rather a member of a separate, now extinct lineage. Leedsichthys. When paleontologists in the late 19th century unearthed massive fossilized bones in England, they initially thought they belonged to a dinosaur. Only later did they realize they had discovered something altogether different: the remains of the largest bony fish ever known, Leedsichthys. This enormous fish lived during the Middle Jurassic period, around 165 million years ago, and was named after Alfred Leeds, the amateur fossil collector who first brought its remains to scientific attention in 1886. Reconstructions suggest that Leedsichthys could reach lengths of 50 to 55 feet. It was a filter feeder, using gill structures to strain plankton and other tiny organisms from the water, much like today's whale sharks. But despite its peaceful lifestyle, its sheer size was staggering. Estimates suggest it may have weighed as much as 50 tons, making it one of the heaviest fish ever to swim the seas. Whales. Whales typically measure 80 to 100 feet, and the heaviest individual on record tipped the scales at an astonishing 210 tons, almost 3 times heavier than Argentinosaurus. Yet astonishingly, there may once have been a whale even heavier. In 2023, paleontologists announced the discovery of Parusetus colossus, a massive whale that swam Earth's oceans around 39 million years ago during the Eocene epoch. Measuring a modest 55 to 65 feet in length, shorter than a blue whale, Parusetus made up for it in bulk. Based on its remarkably dense fossilized vertebrae, each weighing more than 100 kilograms, scientists estimate that the entire animal may have weighed between 170 and 370 tons. If the upper estimate is correct, it would make Parusetus the heaviest animal in Earth's history. Earth has always been home to giants, some still with us, others lost to time. Which of these titans impressed you most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like and subscribe.